My dear Cancer, if you are hearing these words, know that it wasn't by chance you played this music, and it wasn't by accident you clicked on this video. It was your soul, your very own being, that brought you here. No one ever truly knows the exact moment they begin to awaken. It just happens. One night, you wake up suddenly, not from a nightmare, but from a whisper. A strange sensation finds its way into your chest, soft but impossible to ignore. Perhaps you dreamed of someone who has passed, or maybe you noticed a flickering light, as if someone was trying to speak. A clock that stopped ticking, a door that creaked open, a message that appeared at the exact moment you were thinking of a sorrow no one else knows. No, it's not coincidence. It is the universe knocking on your door, gently, patiently, without force, but tenderly enough that you have to stop and listen. Because you, Cancer, are the most nurturing and intuitive frequency in the entire zodiac. You feel things others haven't yet named. You hear the silence between two heartbeats, and you sense what is coming, even when no one speaks it aloud. In this world you live in, not everyone sees you clearly. Some only see your quiet surface. Some mistake your gentleness for weakness, simply because you don't fight back. But what they don't know is this: the softness you carry is the cloak of a spiritual warrior who has survived 1,000 lifetimes. You once believed in someone, a woman maybe. It was a close friend, a sister, a coworker, a relative. Someone who once looked at you with warmth, touched your hand like they were touching a piece of your soul. But behind your back, they began pulling threads of light from you so subtly, so skillfully, you didn't even notice. They didn't wound you with a knife. They used words and glances, smiles that were hollow, compliments laced with venom. And what bothered them most was not your success, but the light within you, a light they could never imitate. Cancer, there were times you didn't trust your own intuition, right? You doubted what you felt because you had no proof, but you forgot. You've never needed proof. You only needed to trust the soul that knocks softly on your heart each time something feels off. And right now, your dreams are no longer just dreams. They are fragments of mirrors reflecting what you haven't dared to face. You are standing at the threshold of another plane of awareness, and no one can cross it with you except you. And the strange thing is, in the moment you start doubting everything, you also begin to see everything more clearly than ever, not with your eyes, but with your inner knowing, not through words, but through a silent, burning certainty. You know now. You don't need anyone to confirm it. So Cancer, take a deep breath and ready yourself, because the things you once had no name for are about to take form, and the truths your soul has long felt are about to be spoken aloud, not so you can seek revenge, but so you can finally be free. Because after that first calling, the journey begins, but not a journey to chase those who hurt you. A journey to finally see yourself more clearly than ever before. And to see that, you must walk through a veil named betrayal. Quiet now, we will keep going, not upward but inward, to the place where light no longer comes from outside but rises from within you. And then you begin to remember a glance, a sentence, a time someone left without giving you a reason. It had all felt so vague. But now the pieces begin to fall into place like fragments of a painting you once created with your heart, only for someone else to quietly paint over with darkness. Not every wound bleeds. Some wounds are disguised as friendships, compliments, hugs that felt sincere. And some betrayals don't come with screaming. They only require someone to know exactly who you are, and then slowly distort that image in the eyes of others. Cancer, you trusted them. That person, the one who used to call you by a tender nickname, the one who sat beside you listening to your dreams, your old wounds, your moments of collapse. You let them see you in your most unguarded form. But what you didn't know was that they couldn't find themselves within your light. And instead of learning to shine their own, they chose to dim yours, silently, cleverly, without leaving a trace. They retold the story you once shared, but switched the roles. They painted your silences as coldness. They used your kindness as a tool to seed doubt in others, bit by bit. No rush, no noise. And you, Cancer, with your trusting heart, began to lose the people around you without ever understanding why. No one said anything. They just withdrew a message less often. A meeting that never came. An embrace that once opened now closes without a word. But then something they never expected happened. Someone saw. No one said it aloud, but a pair of eyes lingered a little too long. Someone heard their words, and their heart sensed something was off. They began to dream of you. They saw you in moments where you weren't even present. They started to notice the repetition, a story told again and again by them, but each time missing a piece of truth. And they began to write. Maybe it's a message still sitting in their drafts, a note never sent, a confession forming in their mind, not yet shaped into words. But you'll know, you'll feel it. Not because you need validation, but because your soul has waited for this too long. Truth doesn't need evidence. It only needs one moment to brush against your heart. And in that instant, the pieces will snap into place. No forcing, no explaining, just a quiet stillness and a single warm tear falling, not from pain, but because finally you've been seen. They can no longer hold the mask, not because someone ripped it off, but because your energy has changed. And in this new frequency, no falsehood can remain standing. Cancer, this is not the end, not a climax. This is simply the moment the sun spills through the curtain and you realize the room had been dark for far too long. And from that space, the true light begins to pour in, not to burn anyone, but to reveal once and for all what is real and what is not. Stay with me, because what comes next isn't just a reversal. It is how the universe returns to protect you quietly through the law of karma. And you will see that you never needed revenge, because justice was never absent. Dear Cancer, there are reversals in life that don't come with thunder or declarations. They arrive silently, like light shifting through a pane of dusty glass. No one sees it clearly, but you feel it. You feel the air around you changing. The ones who left your life without explanation, they're returning now, softly, not with flowers, not with words, only with lowered eyes when they see you. An awkward nod, a casual question meant to open a door. They don't know how to name remorse. Cancer, you don't need their confession. You don't need them to say, "I was wrong," because your soul knew long ago. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to defend yourself, because true justice never comes through argument. It arrives through frequency. It arrives like a wave, not loud, but strong enough to carry away everything that is no longer true. The one who once existed in every intimate corner of your life now feels like a thin veil torn by the wind. You don't need to expose them. The energy you now carry, pure, calm, unreactive, is the clearest declaration of all. You have risen above the frequency they once used to manipulate. They were once the person who could tilt an entire room to their favor, once the voice that was most heard, the one who made you feel invisible inside the very circle you helped create. But now, silence is the answer when they enter the room. No one speaks. Conversations that used to buzz now fall into awkward pauses. You are no longer there, but the truth you left behind has begun to bloom in the hearts of those who once turned their backs. And the miracle is, You don't need to return to witness it. You just need to keep walking, because the light you carry has changed its hue. It's no longer the fragile light of your beginnings. It has been refined through fire, through tears. And now it becomes a healing light, not for the one who hurt you, but for you. Sometimes the greatest gift is not that people finally see you as you are, but that you no longer need them to. You have stepped beyond the need to be vindicated. You have released the hunger to be understood. And now you stand in a place where your presence alone creates change without you having to say a word. Dearest Cancer, this is not a victory because you never went to war. This is simply the natural result of choosing light, even in the dark. And the universe never forgets that karma is not revenge. Karma is the recurring of what belongs to someone and the liberation of the one who no longer owes. Can you feel it, that lightness in your chest? The peace spreading from a place deep inside you, a place you haven't touched in so long? It is your soul unraveling every tangled thread, every resentment that became a habit. And just when you thought you had lost everything, you begin to realize you are coming home, not to someone else, but to yourself. And then, when your energy has shifted, everything around you will begin to move on its own, not because you asked for it, but because you no longer need to hold what isn't yours. And so, Cancer, we don't stop here, because there is a deeper layer waiting for you to step into, where all things old are being purified not through anger, but through grace-filled silence. Let me tell you about a kind of rebirth that needs no initiation, because it's already happening quietly inside your living space. Beloved Cancer, there will be no bell ringing. No one will call out to you and say, "Hey, the old chapter has ended. It's time to begin the new one." But your soul will know in its own way, so quiet beyond words. One morning, you'll wake up and feel like your blanket is too old. The table that once felt like home now seems cluttered. The corner you used to find comfort in now holds a strange, heavy energy. You begin to look at the things you once loved as if they no longer belong to you, and you won't know why you want to tidy up, why you suddenly want to move the bed, why you crave to throw the windows open wide, why you're ready to toss away the gifts from someone who's long disappeared. But in truth, it isn't you doing this. It is your soul performing a farewell ritual, a ritual with no candles, no chants, no background music, only silent awareness and quiet gratitude. Rebirth doesn't always begin with a journey outward. Sometimes it begins right here, in the room you inhabit every day, in the way you fold an old shirt, in the way you wipe the dust off the windowsill, in the way you sit down and ask yourself, how many things in my life do I still keep, not because I need them, but because I haven't let go? And then a message arrives, a passing phrase from a stranger. A familiar song plays in a car idling at noon. A glance catches you not on purpose, but it stops you in your tracks. Cancer, you won't need to understand right away. You'll simply pause, not because someone tells you to, but because something deep within already knows this is the moment to exhale one last time for all that no longer belongs. You don't need to announce it to anyone. No need to tape a note on the door saying I'm changing, because the deepest transformations always happen in silence. You don't need support. You don't need witnesses, because the only one who truly needs to be present in this moment is you. Dear Cancer, this is not the time to scream to the world that you deserve a different life. This is the moment to gently close a door without needing to lock it. Just walk away with peace in your heart. You're not angry. You're not regretful. You don't need any final words. You simply feel within a sacred emptiness, as if someone had cleared out something old and returned your soul's original space. And that, sweet Cancer, is the gateway to your rebirth. No fire is needed. No miracle. just a quiet enough space for you to hear yourself coming back to life. And sometimes, within that silence, something miraculous begins to unfold, not from the outside, but from the things you've finally been willing to let go of to welcome something else unnamed but radiant. Cancer. There will come a night when the sky outside stills and everything seems to slow. They will return, no warning, no noise, just a vague message, a gentle calling of your name, or a look trying to recall something that once belonged to both of you. They will carry tearful eyes, shoulders drooping, as if to say, "Please give me a chance to explain." But you, dear Cancer, will feel something strange. No pain rising anymore, only a silence soft like the final exhale when releasing an old dream. You're not numb. You haven't become cruel. It's just that your soul has crossed that threshold. Like a river reaching the ocean, it does not turn around to ask why old stones once blocked its way. It simply smiles and flows forward into something greater. Cancer, you no longer need to be vindicated. You no longer need anyone to admit that you were right, because what you've been through has spoken it all without a single word. You've become someone who can smile even at old wounds, as if every scar was a page left behind, reminding you how far you've come. They will try to offer reasons. They will speak of peace, of forgiveness, of the things they regret. But you will no longer seek an explanation. You will no longer wish to hear their story, not from hatred, but because their story no longer belongs in your book. You are somewhere else now, where stillness is the only answer. You no longer try to prove your love or your goodness. You don't chase anyone to make them understand what you endured. You know that what needed to be seen has been seen, and what needed to leave has left in the most natural way. Cancer, the moment you let go is not a defeat. It is the choice of the strongest souls, the choice to keep your heart pure rather than stain it with revenge or bitterness. And the most beautiful part is, you will not feel empty. You will feel filled by a rare peace, the kind of peace no apology could ever bring. It is the peace that comes from learning the greatest lesson, that your worth is not defined by another's eyes, but by the way you choose to live in truth with yourself. Cancer, from here the path opens. Before you, no shadows of the past clinging, only a new journey light as the morning breeze. And that journey will lead you to a door. Not everyone reaches the door of deeper spiritual awakening. Dear Cancer, when you have walked through all the trials, not with anger, not with declarations, but with the quiet grace of a heart that has learned not to resist, then the door within begins to open. No one hands you a key. No one stands at the gate to say, "You are ready." It's just one day you start hearing more than what's being said. You no longer see just a face in front of you. You begin to feel the energy they bring, a handshake light but cold, a smile bright but hollow, a polite greeting, yet it makes your heart retreat. And you don't need to analyze it, because your soul already remembers the frequency of light. From now on, you will enter another state of being, not to rise higher, but to sink deeper into yourself. You will have dreams strange and vivid, as if someone were whispering each symbol into your ear. You will wake up with the strange feeling that a message has arrived, even though you can no longer remember its full content. You will find yourself standing in an unfamiliar room, and still you'll know with piercing clarity who is hurting, who is pretending, and who is silently calling out for help. Cancer, this isn't magic. It is expanded awareness, a part of your soul that once lay dormant, now beginning to move again, like the first ripple across a still lake. And you don't have to do anything about it. You are only asked to stay with the feeling, like a gatekeeper at a sacred temple, neither seeking attention nor cloaked in mysticism, but simply present. Because you were chosen not to carry prophecies on your shoulders, but to become the keeper of light, first for yourself, and then for all those who step into your life with an unclouded heart. And the most beautiful part is, you will no longer be frightened by those strange sensations. You will no longer believe you are too sensitive, because you will come to understand that sensitivity is the highest expression of love. You won't need to protect yourself anymore, because now you know who comes to share your light and who comes only to feed off it. Cancer, you are no longer the one misunderstood, the one who endured, the one who swallowed tears in silence after every wound. You are the one being called by the hush of the universe to awaken and become a light among layers of soft shadows. And when you stand at that gate, when you begin to touch the edge of awakening without needing anyone's approval, you will also see this. Everything that had once been locked away, delayed, or hidden in the shadows of destiny has begun to shift gently, quietly, but clearly enough for you to know your soul is being returned, all that was once taken from it, not as a reward, but as a homecoming. And in that very moment, you will see those who once tried to hurt you can no longer reach you, not because you locked them out, but because they no longer exist on the same frequency. And sometimes, the most sacred justice is to be at peace without ever receiving an apology. Because truth has found its way, and your heart has found its way back to itself. But stay, won't you? Because what's coming is not just a reward, but the recreation of a soul after all that once seemed lost. A new journey awaits, where you no longer carry the weight of old stories, and every door that once closed has started to knock again. Dearest Cancer, there will come a day when you suddenly realize that the things which once made you tremble, that haunted your dreams, that made you swallow tears in silence, can no longer touch you. Not because you've grown stronger to fight them, but because you've gently stepped away from that old energy field, like a petal no longer held captive by a toxic wind. You have surrendered yourself into a new sky, one made of pure light and soft truths. Those who once tried to control, manipulate, or harm, you can no longer enter, not because you closed the door, but because your frequency no longer echoes back to theirs. The universe doesn't seek revenge on your behalf. It simply unbinds what no longer belongs to your healing path. Each thread, every ghost, every word once spoken dissolves like morning mist under a rising sun. You don't need to be vindicated. You don't need an apology, because now you know. When the soul returns to its original light, nothing has the power to stain it again. From this moment, you live differently, not rushed, not afraid. You listen to life with a heart that is lighter and yet deeper. And if there's anything worth holding on to, let it be gratitude for everything that once caused you pain, because it led you home to yourself. Thank you for staying all the way to this moment. Thank you for not collapsing, for walking silently through each layer of trial without ever losing your tender heart. May your new journey be lit enough for you to see the path, and quiet enough for you to hear the sound of your own aliveness. May you be at peace in the deepest way, and may you be loved in a way that asks for no proof.